Black History Month for the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff is extra special this year as they celebrate 150 years of providing education, access, and opportunities to students. We're here once again with Vice Chancellor George Cotton to tell the story of some of the more notable alumni and history makers from the school. And I know today we kind of have two artists that we're talking about.
That's right, that's right. And as a budding artist myself, I'm really excited to talk about two artists who actually their work spans two different centuries, if you will.
Wow.
Scott Hathaway, who is pretty much a sculpture. He has credited for designing over 100 busts of prominent African Americans. As a matter of fact, he was the sculptor who also gets credit for designing the first two coins depicting African Americans, both Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver. His wife, interestingly enough, was also a sculptor. Wow. And actually did a bust of him that now is on display at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. And you have to consider not only the impact of his work, but when he was doing it. He started the first ceramics program at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, at that time Branch Normal College. But when you think about the fact that he was doing this in the late 1890s all the way through the early 1900s, it's really impactful to realize that you have an African American who comes to Arkansas and really brings the art and ceramics program to prominence. A lot of his work, as I said, is on display at the university and at the museum, so we invite people to come down and take a look at that. The other artist spans another century, Byron Vaughn, who is the animator's animator, if you will. And if you had children like I did who grew up in the 80s and early 90s, you're familiar with Tiny Toons and He-Man, Master of the Universe. Byron Vaughn gets credit for producing, directing a lot of that early work. He's also worked with Marvel and Steven Spielberg. One of my favorite movies, Dumb and Dumber.
Yes. Wow.
He had the opportunity to work on that. So another younger artist, if you will, but also whose work has contributed to the richness of our society. And a lot of people, quite frankly, whose work, although it's prominent to us when we see it, we don't know the faces and the names that go with it. So we're proud that both of them had their start at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Hathaway as a professor and an instructor who founded the department, and of course Byron as a student who went on to do great things.
And it's interesting that you said that it's such a big time difference, but both incredibly impactful. And then I remember last week we were talking about a photographer who was also documenting a lot of notable moments in African American history as well. So a lot of connections coming out of UAPB.
Constantly trying to make people remember, as I've said so many times, as we celebrate 150 years this year, the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff uniquely responsible for helping to build a middle class, and we love making sure that people remember the contributions that African Americans have made, not just to the state of Arkansas, but most certainly this nation. And Hathaway and Vaughn, two people who, again, put their stamp on the chronicles of history, if you will, but also helped us celebrate the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff and the richness of that university.
Exactly, both here and across the nation.
No doubt about it.
Well, thank you once more for coming on and continuing this series. We love having you on and sharing these important stories.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Of course. Thanks for coming on, and we are going to be right back with a final check of your forecast. Don't go anywhere.